Hey, what's going on? It's Bark coming at you with a new series. I did this once and forgot to hit record on my Rodecaster Pro, so the audio wasn't great. Feeding right into the camera. Let's do this over. Let's try this again. This time quicker than the 5 minutes I spent last time explaining what I'm doing. What I'm doing here. YouTube. Sometimes you look for a video about a camera and you just want to know if it's going to be good enough for YouTube. But a lot of the old obscure cameras, obscure mics is my audio channel. Now we're doing some video stuff. But a lot of the obscure cameras, the videos are 10 years old, 11 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old. And I feel like maybe video editors weren't up to snuff back then because the videos look kind of crazy for what I've discovered as far as the video in comparison today in 2021 look like through a good editor. So I thought, let's find some of the cheapest, most obscure cameras, get straight to the point of whether or not they can be used and look good in low light, outside, in room. When I look for videos, I don't want to watch 20 minutes of every in and out of the camera. I'm an auto guy. I'm not a video professional or a camera, guru. I want to just hit record and go. I'm recording on a Panasonic Lumix GM1 per suggestion of Marcus Picks on YouTube. I'll put his link down below. Great guy. I enjoy him so much. And I love the fact that he tries to make great stuff with oddball cameras. Even though he's got them all, it's just that goes in line with what I've done in audio, and that's going in line with what I want to do in video. I want to hit record. I don't want to mess with post-processing. I just want it to be good. It doesn't have to be great. I don't have to be the greatest, quality guy on YouTube. That's Audio Hotline. Bronson actually gave me my first camera. I think it was a Canon M10. Anyways, we've got the Lumix GM1 in here, but this isn't what we're talking about today. The first camera I'm going to do to see if it's good, simply in outdoor settings, indoor settings, and low light settings. We're just going to give you the facts on hitting record in those settings and tell you if it's good enough for YouTube, or you can see for yourself if it's good enough for YouTube. So there you go. Canon ELPH 160 little pocket camera. You can get it for $20. We're going to find out real quick if it's good enough for YouTube in 2021. Quick, simple, to the point. Let's roll. All right, so we got a test of the 720p capabilities of this. You can hear my kids be angry at each other. So, vlogging capabilities in daylight. It's overcast, so it's not perfect outside. But I have a feeling this is going to be much better than low light. Gotta love kids. Gotta love kids. So here's a shot with low light, but daylight low light. So there's light coming in from the windows. I don't really have much in the way of lights on in here. But I can change that as well. We can go ahead and turn on this light. So now we've got a combination of daylight and artificial bulb generated light. Has that ever been used before? Artificial generated bulb. Anyways, we'll get on to some actual low light studio setting with just LED lights on low, just YouTube setup to see what that looks like. So we've got outside, we've got indoors, but sunlight coming in through big windows. Now we're going to do studio setting, no windows, just artificial light, and see if the little PowerShot ELPH 160 is worth using for YouTube. So here we have the Canon ELPH 160 in a low light setting. Like this studio, I record at night almost always. There's just no natural light. I have no ceiling lights. This is a custom studio that I built detached from my home. And I didn't build it. I bought a prefabricated building and then turned it into a studio. But I've got some lighting in here. But again, we're looking to see if this $20 Canon camera from a long time ago is good enough for YouTube. Is it good enough? Is it good enough? here's what I discovered in the 2 tests before this. So image stabilization, basically non-existent. So walking around and vlogging, while it is good enough picture-wise because of the natural light, awfully shaky. So I don't know if you want to use this. I think this camera, if you have some kind of a gimbal to keep it steady, it's a fine vlogging camera. Indoors, mounted to a small tripod, not a full-size tripod, but just something desk mounted, it works pretty good for that too. I upscaled those 2 videos to 1080p, and it looks solid. I wouldn't really have a big issue with using it. You're not going to be the best looking YouTuber on YouTube, but you're by far not going to be the worst either for $20. As far as low lighting in my studio goes, I'll give you my thoughts on that back on the camera, back indoors. I want to review it and check it out. But as far as outdoors and indoors in a setting where there's overhead lighting, the camera was fine in my opinion. I think it's a nice little travel setup, a nice little vloggy setup. If you have a place to set it and forget it, I wouldn't walk around with it again. But otherwise, there are uses for this camera, and for $20 used everywhere, eBay, you can score this for $20. It's a nice little camera for those applications. I don't think, from judging the LCD screen, which is washed anyways, I don't think it's going to look real great in this low light studio setting. I could be wrong. I could be way wrong. So far, it does have uses for YouTube, but does it fit the bill on all 3 tests? I don't know. Let's find out after I review the footage.
I'm actually pretty surprised. I think that turned out fairly well, and with some editing, it can totally work for YouTube. So I used the picture on the TV as kind of a template. As you saw, the colors came right through on the Panasonic, and they were a little bit washed on the ELPH 160 from Canon, but that can be adjusted afterwards. So I think it came through clear enough. It was, like I said, it was a little bit washed, but if anything, the Lumix GM1, I'd have to mess with my lighting. It was a little bit saturated, and you could see that in the flashing of the TV. So I'm gonna have to keep this little $20 camera around. It's not that bad. I think it's usable for YouTube. So there you go. Not perfect, but usable, especially if you want to do a little bit of post editing. Again, that's not what we are looking for here. We're looking for auto and go, but it was good enough. So very surprised at this very old $20 camera. For the price, it's a great backup. Thanks again.